Cyberpunk 2077 is one of my favorite games of all time. The world, the story, the characters, the gameplay, all of it is just beautifully crafted. However, there are some times where the vanilla game feels a bit too arcadey or game-esque. A lot of the time, I found myself just going from point A to point B just to complete missions without actually soaking in Night City as a world, which breaks your immersion because it makes you feel out of place. And when I began modding my game again post patch 2.2, this is what I aimed to fix. To turn Night City from a video game to a life simulator. A game that you're able to drop into and just live in the world. And I think I was successful because I've been having a blast with this game again. But before I jump into my mod collection, I just want to preface this video by saying that none of these things would be possible without the talented mod authors that put their heart and soul into improving upon this game. It takes a lot of work, and they're not getting paid for it, so go over to Nexus Mods and support those creators, whose creations I'm about to go over right now. I have over 200 mods installed for the game, so I'm not going to be able to go over every single one. I'm just going to hit the biggest factors, the main points, the main course meal. And the first of them is Nova City add-ons. This mod dramatically increases the population density as well as the traffic density. And in my opinion, it's absolutely essential if you want to make Night City feel more alive. It's supposed to be a metropolis. It's supposed to be absolutely packed with people. And if there's only a couple of people on the street at any given time, it breaks the illusion of it being a real city, which this mod fixes. You can use this mod by itself, however, it was designed to be paired with, obviously, Nova City custom weather, which adds new weather types in the game, as well as makes the transition between weather types a bit more smooth and seamless. I also downloaded Novalut 2, which gives the game a more natural color palette. However, I do recommend downloading Reshade just to tweak the contrast and saturation a bit because the default version of the mod does look kinda washed out, so yeah, slightly bump up the contrast with Reshade and it looks great. Now let's dive into the parts of the mod collection that are actually functional and gameplay related. Dark Future is probably the biggest one. This mod adds an urban survival system into the game. When I was downloading it, I was thoroughly impressed because it did so much more than I thought it would do. It doesn't just add a thirst and hunger bar and call it a day. It changes the way you play the game on multiple different levels. It adds a nerve mechanic which represents how calm and collected V is. The more nervous you are, the worse your gun handling is gonna be. And if the bar gets too low, you can literally die of a heart attack. You can drink alcohol and take drugs to kind of alleviate that nerve, but you put yourself at risk of becoming an addict. So you should take more healthy alternatives like hanging out in Night City or meeting up with your romance partner. All of these things also having a good effect on toning down your nerve. Nerve isn't the only feature that this mod integrates, it's just the biggest. There's also the removal of fast travel, the ability to sleep in your car. It does a lot. But the best part about this mod is that there is a lot of customization to it. So if you want to turn down some of the aspects or even ramp them up to make it more intense, you can do that. There's also the wannabe Edgerunner mod, which adds a cyberpsychosis and humanity system to the game. Meaning that the more enemies you kill and the more cyberware you use, the more of a toll it has on your humanity. So you can't just go around completing missions because you're just gonna turn into a brainless robot. And pushing yourself too far can cause you to go cyber psycho. It motivates you to take some time off from your mercenary escapades. Then there's the Night City Interactions mod by Deceptious, which allows you to drink at a bar with a companion. The Immersive series of mods, also made by Deceptious, which makes vendors more interactable. The Immersive Fixtures mod, also made by Deceptious, which overhauls the way you come across fixer missions. The Job Randomizer mod, which allows you to track and complete quests in a non-linear immersive way. Dance Off, which lets you dance at certain clubs with friends. Wilson's Range, which makes the firing range in Wilson's shop usable. Lizzie's Brain Dances, which allows you to watch various different brain dances that you can pick up from Lizzie's bar. Stock Market and News System, which adds a dynamic stock market as well as news reports that are all affected by your actions in the game. E3 Smart Windows, which adds an interactable interface onto V's apartment window. Economy tweaks and balance, which balances the in-game economy, meaning that you don't get super rich super early in the game. Enhanced vehicle system, which gives you more control over your vehicle, so you could like open any doors, open any windows, turn on the interior lights, things like that. You also have to manually turn on the engine whenever you enter your vehicle, so just keep that in mind. There's also the Sit Anywhere and Lean Anywhere mods, which lets you sit anywhere and lean anywhere. All of these mods affecting how you interact with the environment around you, as well as how you go about completing missions. But what if we want to make the NPCs feel a bit more alive? Well, the first mod I have for that is obviously Night City Alive. This mod does a lot of different things. It makes certain NPCs in Night City be a bit more aggressive towards you, adds motorcycles and gang members into traffic, and as a whole just makes NPCs a bit more reactive to conflict that happens around them. This pairs well with Mr. Cheddah's Responsive NPCs mod, which adds dynamic NPC reactions to what you wear, drive, and just what you do in general. What's even cooler about this mod is that it adds a disguise system, which is affected by what V wears. There's also the Romanced Enhanced series of mods by Deceptious, which makes your romance partner move around in their apartment a bit more. And speaking of romance, there's also the Generative Texting mod, which adds ChatGPT features into the game, allowing you to text NPCs and have them respond back to you in character. And Law Enforcement Overhaul, which expands on the variety of enemy types and vehicles that come after you when you cause trouble with the law. A big part of immersion and what makes the world feel lively comes from not just how you interact with the world, but also how the world interacts with you back. And these mods are what expand upon that. However, you're gonna run into combat eventually, which is what this next set of mods touch upon. The first combat mod that I decided to download was Guns Redone Overhauled, which is an insanely expansive mod because it completely overhauls the way guns work. I can't get into every single thing this mod does, but just know it makes the TTK much better for both you and the enemies. It doesn't just make enemies die faster, there's balancing there. I highly recommend that you check out the description on the mod page because it lists out every change in a pretty organized way. There's also the Stealth Runner mod, which is a huge expansion on the stealth gameplay of the game. It adds more objectives to almost every single quest in the game, as well as reward you for completing them with stealth. It also adds a completely new stealth-focused perk tree, which allows you to unlock abilities like pickpocketing. There's the Random Netrunners mod, which makes it so more enemies are going to be able to hack you. Manual Reload, which makes it so you have to manually reload whenever you finish a magazine. Immersive NCPD Hotline, which I love a lot because it gives you the ability to actually call the cops on your enemies. So if you see a group of tiger claws running amok, you can call the cops on them and have the cops do the work for you. If you want the cops called on you, there is the Pariah mod, which adds harsher consequences to firing at innocent civilians, and makes it so when you do, you lose street cred. This mod was made to be paired with Atone, which is a mod that allows you to reset your street cred. And with that pretty much covers my life simulator mod list for Cyberpunk 2077. Again, these aren't the only mods that I have installed, it's just the ones that I felt were most important that I mentioned. The mods that may have the most impact in making Cyberpunk feel more like a life simulator. But of course, mods can only do so many things. If you truly want Cyberpunk to feel more like a simulation and feel more immersive, the change that'll make that happen doesn't come from any of these mods. It comes from how you play the game. The reason why I've been having so much more fun with Cyberpunk again recently is because of the fact that I changed the way I approached the game. I decided to slow down and not use fast travel and all of these things, and the mods only pushed me more forward into that direction. So if you really want to live in Night City, change the way you play the game. You might end up surprising yourself. Thanks for watching, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I will see you all next time.